Okay, here we are. Joining me today is someone who is at the center of the controversy surrounding Tim Pool. You might not know the controversy surrounding Tim Pool, or you might have been tuned into it this whole time. It involves an internet character called Eliza Blue, or actually a real life person. Well, although that's not a real name. Eliza Blue, I'll tell you what happened. Defango, who's going to be my guest, was operating a Twitter account with about 1,000 followers, I believe. And he tweeted out some information about Eliza Blue, who is a person who claims to be a survivor of sex trafficking and an advocate for sex trafficking victims. He knew her before she was Eliza Blue, back when she was Eliza Cuts and Eliza Knows, back in the day, before she came out as a sex trafficking victim. So he posted a thread about her. And subsequent, and this was before she went on Tim Pool the latest time, and before any of the censorship that made this a much bigger story. So he posted that. Some people started sharing that information around. And then Brittany Venti posted an image of this person, Eliza Blue, that she didn't want posted, even though it was publicly, I mean, this is disputed, I guess, but it seems to be, from what anybody can tell, that it was a publicly available image that was gotten consensually, that somebody else owned the rights to, and which was available on YouTube for a number of years before it got shared. Then Brittany Venti got censored. Then the story blew up into a huge story. People wanted, and the story was that Eliza Blue censored people inappropriately, and also that she might not be telling the truth 100% about her story in the first place. So people then pressured Tim Pool to talk about it because it was censorship on Twitter that a lot of people disagreed with. And then eventually it moved to censorship on YouTube that a lot of people disagreed with. So people pressured Tim Pool into talking about it, which he avoided. Eventually came up with a conspiracy theory that it was a PR campaign, that like anybody contacting him or interested in the story was working for a PR campaign, and also assigned his star reporter, Shane Cashman, to cover the story. Although Shane Cashman had already planned to do story about Eliza Blue after she came on the show. So it was already planned in advance, but they said they're going to do this big story on Timcast, long articles with the final word on the Eliza Blue situation. Okay. And so people waited for these articles to come out. They're long, I think 5,000 word articles. They wrote 3 of them. In the tone of the article was the same as what Tim Pool said, which is that like it's a psyop, basically, that all this attention about Eliza Blue, all these people that seem to be upset with Eliza Blue, that they are either wittingly or unwittingly parts of some kind of PR campaign. Okay. Or in the words of Shane Cashman, eventually a psyop. Then Shane Cashman, in his 3rd article, identified the culprit behind the psyop, and that was none other than Defango. This person, like I said, I think the account he tweeted from had about 1,000 followers when he started his thread. And I told you why he did it, because he knew Eliza from before. But Shane Cashman said, gang stalker, went into Defango's past. I know Defango since 2016. And he has a checkered past of sorts. I'm aware of it. I had problems with him. We'll talk about it. But the claims made in this article went so far as to maybe being defamatory, even though they didn't call Defango out by name. In the end, the articles got pulled, and Defango's going to explain he played a part in it. The articles got pulled completely, and Timcast on their website blames the readers for misperceiving the content because there must have been some blowback, people saying it was a puff piece, and then it just turned into conspiracy theories, basically, which was misperceived by the readers, this style of what they called gonzo journalism. So I'll show you that. And then we'll bring Defango on. He can explain, what part he played in it. But here's the article now. All three of them have been pulled down. And we might have an update now to whether these articles are going to be republished. But right now, this is the third part that had the featured section about Defango, calling him the gang stalker. It says, due to the fact that the gonzo journalism style of this series was misperceived by readers, the series in its entirety has been removed. We apologize for any inconvenience. So, which is a weird strategy to blame the readers for misperceiving the style when I think people are just being critical that it was a puff piece, that it was an article series designed to protect Eliza Blue. It seems like, from this reading of it, the series was designed to take away from the criticism of Eliza Blue and turn the criticism onto the people that were attacking or criticizing Eliza Blue. So anyway, enough of an intro for it. Here's Defango, the famous Defango. And they're still going after you. So you have updates. Let's see. I got it set up right.
Yeah, I think you got it set up right. You can hear me all right, can't you?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good. Nice to see you, Nathan. Now, you would have never expected that the gang stalker thing would have came back or whatever. I still remember when you were calling me that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, right? So I know you. And I even mentioned that they were going to call you a gang stalker because of your affiliation with Shadowbox, which was with Schoenberger, because Shadowbox. So you were affiliated with Thomas Schoenberger, who is actually a gang stalker, who does actually run multiple Twitter accounts and has actually, I got to be careful what I say because
careful.
He might try.
So I don't want him. He's already probably in your chat. I'm like spying one person.
So Thomas Schoenberger has a genuine checkered past that a lot of people say. Okay, I'll just say that there are people who say they've been gang stalked by Thomas Schoenberger. That's all. And I don't know anybody. I don't think I know anybody who says that you gang stalked them. Although, like you said you were going to come to my house once, so you did kind of stalk me once. So like
that's not it. But I didn't have a gang. It was just me.
That's true.
I was just going to be like, I'm going to come over. Come on, Nathan. I'm a regular guy. And plus, you live in California, so you don't have guns, so it's not like you're going to shoot me.
Yeah, right. But we're allowed to possess, and we're just not allowed to possess anything fun. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
but
we're not allowed to just we're not allowed to just shoot no questions asked, which is what I could do to you in like Texas or Florida, right?
Yeah, or Nevada.
So anyway, yeah, you do have a checkered past. You did say you started QAnon, right? Do you still claim that?
Yeah, I still claim that. Still claim that they came up with that idea, put it out there, hooked up the MAGA 3X boys with it, and then they ran with it.
But you didn't write.
Never changed that story.
You didn't write any of the drops, though, right?
The questions, some of them, yeah I did. Like wrote. Some of them are actually verbatim, like what I told these guys to say. Especially some of the first like actual things that they put out there, like with the Hillary Clinton shit. Which to me was just a good play because if you thought about it, like that was one of the most trending things at the present time. So you tell people something that they already wanted to hear, they're just going to be that much more inclined to believe you about it pretty much. And that's where I think that people get stuck on that. They don't seem to understand, like they want like the actual person who posted. And when we give that person to them, he's back on Twitter, by the way. Microchip. Most of the time, nobody wants to talk to him. They treat him just like they treat me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, people affiliated with QAnon, I mean, are looked at with skepticism for good reason,
Yeah, for
since it
sure.
was some kind of weird psyop. But yeah, I know some of the people I think who wrote for it. But in any case, that was one thing I believe Shane mentioned in his piece about you is the connection to QAnon. He also said a number of other things saying, well, for example, this is how the article I have the archived version of the article. The archived versions are still available. Now we're going to find out what's going to happen going forward. You're going to tell us, actually, which is why you're here.
So I've been talking to Cassandra Fairbanks from the place.
She used to be called Cassandra Fairbanks.
Yeah, I know Cassandra McDonald. She got married. I keep forgetting.
And I know her, and my first sighting of her anywhere in person was when she was Cassandra Fairbanks still, and she was with David Seaman at the Pizzagate rally together.
That's right. With Jack Posobiec.
With Jack Posobiec. Yeah. So that's where I remember, that's my first kind of knowledge of Cassandra Fairbanks at the time. Now she's Cassandra McDonald. So you spoke with her about, and okay. And what is her role exactly? Is she the news director at Timcast, or?
Yeah, she controls the website and like basically the content that's there within, although she recused herself from the Shane Cashman article because people were already saying that, she was going to be partisan. And well, that ended up being shitty because she was the one that took it down ultimately.
Okay, so this is actual news that we're talking about now. So Cassandra is the one responsible for taking down the article. You claim. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that she recused herself from the story. That's because, well, she has some history with Eliza Blue, which
and me.
And you. Oh, okay. Well, you can tell me about that too. With Eliza Blue, though, her history was, I think it had to do with her leaked nudes. Like Cassandra had leaked nudes, and Eliza helped her out with it or commiserated with her about it at the time, something like that.
Yeah, they like helped each other about it. I'm not too fully aware of it, but there's a lot of stuff out there. And I mean, she even recently wrote an article on the Gateway Pundit talking about what's his name? Clint Barker, Clive Barker, something like that. Some guy that just got he got his channel deleted off of YouTube, and he had like interviewed Eliza Blue. So they wrote about him. Liberty Lockdown, that's what it was. Liberty Lockdown with Cliff. That guy, he got canceled off of YouTube, and she wrote an article, and she was still kind of like defending her, but more or less just kind of just saying, hey, maybe this has something to do, or maybe him getting censored has something to do with that, like Eliza Blue interview he did a while back that draw attention to his channel, which ultimately got YouTube to cancel him off. But
yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're mentioning, okay. When you mentioned that, I was, Liberty, there's a channel called Liberty Lockdown that just got taken off of YouTube for, it seems like, no good reason. And you're saying that Cassandra had something to say about that she thought it might have something to do with him hosting Eliza Blue.
Mm-hmm.
Really? That's weird. But nobody else. There are other people that hosted Eliza Blue that aren't. It doesn't seem like hosting Eliza Blue has created problems for anybody. So that's really a weird thing to say.
I don't think hosting it has created problems after the fact. Like, there's been blowback for some creators that have just not wanted to talk about it. But, like, that's not like an intended consequence or anything like that. That just happens when this thing goes around.
So this article came out, and it's got this stuff about you. I have it here. This is where it started. This all started with the man we'll call the gang stalker. The gang stalker runs in a circle that's been accused of controlling hundreds, if not thousands, of bogus Twitter accounts, buying black SUVs and parking outside people's homes to intimidate, and even injecting something into someone who would wake up 2 weeks later with a piece of their minds missing. I mean, what is that? Like, injected them with something? These guys are really, I just have a picture of these guys, Tim and Shane, and tinfoil hats, like I just think for as much as Tim Fool hates conspiracy theories, this is like injected someone into where part of their mind. What do you mean injected something? Like, what does that mean? Right? Like, what is he talking about there? Is it about Schoenberger or Shadowbox or?
I have no idea actually. Like that whole paragraph doesn't make any sense to me. The closest thing that I've ever been around with black SUVs is that I used to be a brand ambassador for Uber when the company first came out. So in Phoenix, when they opened up like shop in Phoenix, I was in the group that was promoting the app and giving people free rides. So from basically, I think it was like 2012 to 2019, I didn't pay for an Uber ride, and I took thousands.
Wow. Amazing.
So like I used to always get picked up in like by black SUVs or black cars all the time because I had free rides on Uber. Every time I gave somebody a ride, I got an equal value ride back. So it was like I had friends that would I'd give ride home, or any times that I would be hanging out with people, everybody would just be all like, hey, we need to go somewhere, and then I'd just be calling the Ubers. The SUVs would show up outside, and then we would take them wherever. And this is back when Uber first started, so it was like pretty next level shit for people. So maybe that's where that came from. But as far as injecting people and them losing their minds, like, sorry, unless that's connected with Schoenberger in some way, like I haven't heard that story in my lore anywhere. That's a new one to me, and I haven't even heard that associated with Thomas. So
yeah, right. Like, what does it even mean? Right? It sounds just really out there. It sounds like what people say when they say they're getting like voice to skull or something. Like it's that kind of level,
like Isaac Happy, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at with these guys. So, well, at least as far as like my reading of it. So, was there any? So, you reached out to Cassandra. You felt like there was something defamatory in the article, even though they don't mention you by name.
Well, it's clearly talking about me. They posted that document that I released from Shadowbox when I was whistleblowing on the company. And I mean, Shane Cashman in an interview the day before that was released on the I'm Doing Great, the podcast, he literally makes it very certain that he's talking about me. The person in the show says, Manuel Defango, the person that wrote the thread. And he was like, oh yeah, we're going to be writing the next part. It's going to be all about him.
Oh, so, okay. Right.
Like there's no question that it's about me. And then even in the article, he says that they're going to be starting a war.
Right. Starting a war with you. It's like you have like a pretty small, I mean, as far as people go, you have a pretty small YouTube channel. It's growing. Like you've been growing in popularity ever since this thing with Eliza Blue. Like you've gotten a lot of attention from it. But before that, you ran a Twitter account it had like 1,000 followers or something, right? Because because your other account, you finally got your main account restored now, which now it has like 5,000 or 6,000 followers.
8,000. Almost back to the 10,000 that we had.
Oh, okay. All right. So, you're great. So there you go. But the account that it came from, because your other accounts have been censored, it wasn't a huge account. You aren't like to me, you're not exceedingly well known. Like I know who you are and some people know who you are, but not everybody does. It's not like the regular people watching Tim Pool knows who Defango is, right? But they treated you kind of like people did,
Yeah.
So what happened? You reached out to Cassandra. What did you feel like was defamatory in the article?
I mean, that paragraph right there. I mean, just saying that I'm a gang stalker and shit like that. I don't have no gang. I'm not a stalker. I mean, people have claimed that in the past, but more or less I'm a YouTuber and I'm just making jokes. Like, even when it was with you, it was more or less just I thought that you were actually being funny and not actually being scared. And then when I realized that, you were actually scared, I was like, oh, well, I should probably leave this fucking guy alone. And, like I have left you alone pretty much. That's why it was funny to me that you picked up on this Eliza Blue thing first, because, you had been in the past pretty, on the pulse of these things. in the past, so I figured that it would be decent to talk to you. And like, I'm not planning on even going on anybody else's YouTube channels and talking about this. You know, I'm not going anybody bigger, smaller, whatever. I figured I'm only going to really do this once, and then if people want to ask about it again, they can come to you, because it's really me just trying to be as casual as possible. Like, I've already been through this. I've already won once. You know, it's not going to be difficult to win again. It's just going to cost money that I don't want to spend, don't want to have to worry about getting. And I would much rather this be solved, because I can clearly see that the people that were after me are obviously messing around in this situation too. And if I just, if I just don't do anything and, like, fix the situation behind the scenes, I think things will be a lot better overall. Because, like, I did threaten to sue, right? Like, I was like, yo, you got 7 days to either, give me a simple apology on paper or something. You got 7 days.
So that's what you did. Okay. So you reached out to Cassandra. So that's what I wanted to know. You reached out to Cassandra and you threatened to sue him.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty
much
what
you told them. You said either an apology or what?
I said an apology, or I'm going to go the legal route, and it's probably going to be defamation per se, maybe even a little bit of libel based on, the interview that Shane did. And I made sure to post that to them. And I have obviously copied and stuff, but, in the past, that's what I've seen is, probably the most pertinent. So I don't need a lawyer to send a cease and desist letter, but I'm not really telling them to cease and desist anything. I'm just saying, hey, all I really wanted was part 3 down, and that's the section about me. I was like, you can take that down, and, you can take what I have to understand, and then you could edit it, and then, I would probably be fine with that. But Cassandra took the whole thing down because of all of the harassment that they're getting. Like, she's getting a lot of undue harassment because of this. So is Shane. So is Tim. I mean, it's getting a little out of hand, obviously.
Right. I saw what you tweeted. You were like, take it easy. So obviously they've gotten a lot of pushback from people besides you on the articles.
Yes.
Is that so? So obviously they've been hearing it. They've been feeling it. Tim's been feeling it. Tim's like it's been affecting him so much that he kind of fake threatened to quit. I guess that was just a fake, but he fake threatened to retire. And he also seems to be like he's saying things like he's psychologically affected by it. Like, it's really bothering him, basically.
Yeah, it's really bothering him.
It seems like, right? So, which I think he just doesn't understand. Like, he misperceived the nature of the story.
That's part of it.
Yeah, and just thinks that something happened that's different than what really happened. And now he thinks people attacking him have some kind of like ulterior motive beyond being genuinely interested in the story, or beyond being genuinely interested in censorship or whatever, that they have some kind of, I don't know. So he's suggesting they're paid, or
the hidden portion of this is going to be the part that you're going to want to hear. So a few months ago, I think it was in November, the Subverse lawsuit got dismissed. So that was the lawsuit where Tim Pool was suing Emily Molly and Rocco Castorio over like this company that they started, raised $1 million on, and then it kind of just like went to shit after somebody stole a cat or something. So you could look this up, but they just dismissed the lawsuit. So the two individuals, Emily Molly and Rocco Castorio, obviously have been very quiet about it. Like, they have been telling people, they have been mentioning it, but they seem to be involved in a lot of like the more direct harassment. And one thing is that I actually sent all of my documentation and stuff on Shadowbox to Rocco Castorio back in 2021 when he came to me claiming that he wanted to investigate Thomas Schoenberger, the Shadowbox story, and basically, finally get the story right, bring it to light. And it ended up that he didn't do that, and he just decided to use it to troll me instead. And I found out on the grapevine that actually him and Thomas Schoenberger were working together. Like, he was using Thomas Schoenberger as his main source and all of this stuff. So if we extrapolate a few months, Tim loses the lawsuit. Rocco and his girl have been pretty quiet. And sometime around early December, before I did the thread, actually, apparently Tim Pool and their people have been, receiving increasingly weird threats and stuff. And this is before anything with Eliza ever had anything to do with it. So it's kind of a weird culmination of two different events that have basically come to a head, because after talking to Cassandra a bit about what's happening with one of her friends and how things are going at them, I started reviewing what was happening with them, and we started to realize that there's some characters that seem to be a part of both the situations, like maybe even playing both sides, as it were. And I've gotten a communication from BX Bullet, who is allegedly a source on that article, who is now like, hey, I wasn't that involved with putting all of that out or whatever. Okay. I just read a couple of things. So it's very clear to me that some people have been manipulated in the same way that, people were trying to manipulate me in the South Ridge story. And then, in subsequent areas like Thomas and shit. So we've basically kind of defined that these same people are the same ones that Thomas was associated with. And to us, it kind of seems that all this chaos that people are doing is actually more of a machination of that, because, like, I haven't been outwardly going after Tim Pool at all, really. I was mostly focused on the Eliza situation. It wasn't until like that third article came out that I started making like crazy memes about Tim Pool, like I'm in the Hunger Games or something like that. Sure, I put it on my thumbnails or whatever, but it was more or less just kind of following along with everybody else's thing at the time. And now that, I've found out that I've been the center of, Tim Pool's ire, when he was talking about PR companies and bots and shit like that, he was talking about me. Right. And that's, to me, is not good overall. I've lost contracts and shit like that I've lost contracts already because of this. So like,
sucks. Yeah. Okay. So, I think what you're putting together is like he was under attack. Like people are sending, he's getting swatted over and over. Yeah. He has stalkers. There maybe is. So you're suggesting that kind of there maybe is some kind of coordinated campaign to gang stalk Tim Pool.
Well, I mean, there has been one for a long time, like right. He's had a group after him. I'm just saying that ever since I came into the picture, I've just been noticing some of the same accounts and people that were after me are now, like fully in on this whole Tim Pool thing. And from what I've read and divined from my time, trying to learn about Shadowbox and what they were trying to say that they were capable of doing, I mean, this definitely sounds exactly like the kind of stuff that they would do, right? Or they would claim that they would be able to do, but this is an actual group that could do it. And I've seen and heard of like at least 2 companies that actually do that kind of shit, right? And one of them, Redacted, is a company that, there's names and people that were showing up around me and around them. And at the same time, like, Tim, with the way he's been acting lately, it's obviously affecting him. I'm not that guy. So, some people in the chat are like, oh, you're bowing to Tim. And no, I'm not bowing to Tim, dog. There's no me bending any kinds of knees of anything. I'm asking them to just do the right thing. Right. So like, there's no bending of any knees, anything like that going on. He can either, have his dude rewrite the story a little bit and tell it right, or, let's go into lawsuit town. But right now, it's not like there's not any fucking there's no paperwork right now. I haven't signed anything that says that I'm not going to, sue them or whatever. And I've basically been like straight up like, okay, you guys need to pull up something together. I have no problem signing something, but, I need to understand that this article is going to come out. You guys are going to be at least truthful about it. I don't really care if it's going to make me sound bad, but, the legitimate thing here is that, like, I'm not the gang stalker. I've never been involved with any of that stuff. The whole point that the only reason anybody knows about that stuff is I fucking put it out there. And I put it out there because I was trying to protect myself and say, hey, these are the people I'm exposing. This is what they do. Now they're going to do this to me. Help me. And I don't think anybody really seemed to get that.
Yeah. I mean, that is the trouble is Shadowbox advertised itself as a reputation management company that does the kinds of things that Tim Pool is kind of accusing you of doing. So that's the difficulty, because I can see where people, I see where they're going, like, oh, he was involved with Shadowbox. Shadowbox is a reputation management company that does do this stuff. And so therefore, allegedly, right? So, but you actually were the source. Then that was a news story. It was a news story about Shadowbox and Ed Butowski and stuff, and I was all over it at the time. And I remember, what they were saying. They were saying you were going to rent a van, and so, but you were actually the source for a lot of the information that was in those articles, exposing that stuff, huh? And this still had to do with Seth Ridge, right?
It does. Hold on one second.
Okay. We thank Defango for joining us. He is at the center of controversy with Tim Pool. He's wearing a beanie, and he has the Griftcast IRL, which is like, he's actually playing on Tim Pool's fame. Basically giving a tribute to Tim Pool with the Griftcast IRL.
Sorry, I just had somebody message me about a dude that's having some issues with this whole entire Schoenberger thing. So I've been waiting for him to contact me. So I just got a message that he said something that to me.
Okay.
So I'm not trying to be like in the middle of it. Nice. I'm doing an interview right now. Just give me about. Okay. Perfect. So, I mean, where were you at? What were we talking about? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, I can ask you something else. So there are demands currently on Timcast and Cassandra that they still do something, or you still might sue them. Like, there's a demand for an apology or a rewrite. Is that where we're at right now?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. And according to them, Shane's going to be rewriting the story, and they're eventually going to put part 1, 2, and 3 back up. And then there's going to be a part 4 that kind of goes over, my story, but they're going to be adjusting basically part 3 and part 4. And I guess it took Shane a really long time to write those articles. He's very slow when he writes his shit. So they're saying it's probably going to be sometime next week. So it's obviously over my 7-day time period, but really I was just like, I just need somebody to like fucking talk to me. I need somebody to talk to me. We need to discuss this, because I obviously don't want to have to sue you guys. And I think I have a pretty good case. And I think you guys know that I have a pretty good case based on this. So, I'm not asking to go on your show. I'm not asking for, you guys to write an article. I was just asking for less than that, really. So they're offering more than what I asked for. And at the same time, it's not like they're not saying that they're at fault. They're pretty much have already said that just by taking the articles down and agreeing to do a rewrite. So, I'm just looking at having the most beneficial outcome for myself and then them, because it's never been my intention to fucking take Tim Pool out. Like, that's not my plan, right? Like, that's not in the cards for me. If anything, I'm a fan. I subscribe to his shit. I'm a member of his channel. I was a member of the online, website or whatever for the after shows, and I have been for a long time. So at the end of the day, I think it's been a stain, but I think that everybody in the community, YouTubers included, have been just way too toxic on like how much that we've gone into this. And it's my fault. I'll take the blame on that. But at the end of the day, like, I get people want to make content, but you don't, sit and make 10 videos in a month, or, 5 videos in the month about the same thing. Right.
Yeah. I'm interested in the story, but yeah, I've avoided putting out, like everybody put out the article about them pulling, everybody put out a YouTube video about Tim Pool pulling the articles and stuff. And yeah, I just didn't do that. I have talked about him a little bit, but in the sense that I'm interested, like Tim Pool's a YouTuber. I'm interested in how he's doing mentally, like, because I understand what it's like to feel like you're under attack from people. I understand what it's like to feel like you have bots or gang stalkers after you, because I've been in that situation before. So like I kind of understand a little bit where his head is at, but I just think he's he read this situation incorrectly, and him and Shane both, and Cassandra, like they don't understand. I don't think they understand the organic nature of the situation with Eliza Blue, like why people are interested. Like I don't know why it doesn't make sense to them. I was interested before the censorship, and I'm not a bot. I was just interested. I was like, oh, this person might be lying. That's interesting. And then the censorship happened. And of course, people are really interested. They want Tim to talk about it because Tim talks about Twitter censorship. I mean, like he exploded on the scene with his thing with Joe Rogan and the people from Twitter, and he was telling them, so like he's all about Twitter censorship. So it totally made sense for him to cover this story, and it made sense people wanted him to cover the story. But I understand he's under attack, and he is, and I feel bad for him, and like it sucks that he's getting swatted. And I even think like the thing, I'm not a fan of what Krigler did to him, even if it's true. I'm just not a fan of like doing that, So, and so I feel a lot of ways I feel bad for Tim Pool. Like I don't think it's great. I think in a lot of ways he's super lucky, and I am jealous of where he's at. But in a lot of ways also I'm not, because I can see the struggles that he goes through. And then this is a whole other struggle. So you've called off, you just tweeted saying people should take it easy on Tim Pool. Yeah. Now, that Umbrella guy tweeted something saying they're going after you, like exposing your Tinder profile. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've been watching all that stuff. I mean, I saw that it was one of their guys, and I was like, guys, I fucking made that Tinder profile. I put it out there myself. It's got a bunch of funny pictures of me. I don't even use Tinder. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm not trying to, swipe. I'm not trying to get no matches. Okay. Like that would be depressing. I'm not trying to get depressed out here. So, I get it. Like they're mad. They're all doing their things, and that's the thing that I said to Cassandra. I was like, like I'll just like delete my shit or whatever for now, and just tell your people to cut it the fuck out. Like I was like, I'm not coming at them. I don't have bots. I was like, these are all just like regular people, and half the time if somebody is even saying anything to me like stupid, I just usually either mute them or block them. And like it's because like anybody that's coming at this and cares about this more than I care about it, like how it's affecting myself, like that just seems weird to me. Like I understand the censorship, but we've gone past the censorship, and now it's like this, let's take down Tim Pool type thing. And that's not my intention. My intention was just to be like, hey, say something about it. Well, he said something about it, and he said exactly what he really needed to say. And now people are looking for something else to really harp on, and I should be the one that's harping on it, because it's me, right? It's me, them saying that I own SUVs and stuff. And ultimately, I guess it could be cool to be that kind of supervillain, but babe, it's not me. And honestly, if they're at least agreeing to give my side of the story out there, even if it's not the greatest in the world, I can accept that. Because I mean, do you really want to see me have to like grind out $100,000 to do a lawsuit, dude?
No, nobody wants to. All the suing and stuff. YouTubers suing each other and everything. I'm not a big fan of it. So even in this case, I mean, and also, it can be expensive. So you have to find somebody who's willing to take it, and then you're just going after them. And so you're saying, I agree that people shouldn't. I mean, my interest in it, in as much as I've talked about it, is just that I felt like Tim Pool was incorrect. Like basically it's like he presented a conspiracy theory, and based on my research, I think the conspiracy theory is incorrect. Like I know about your so-called gang stalking history. I saw the thread about Eliza Blue, but you weren't operating a bot army trying to, like, you just posted a thread that went organically viral, as far as I can tell, right? Like it wasn't that you were you weren't putting in some kind of extreme effort into taking down Eliza Blue. You just posted a thread that happened to go viral on its own because people were interested. And people were interested for various reasons. Like if they want to talk about a conspiracy theory, like people who are Andrew Tate supporters were mad at Eliza Blue. So some of the traction
came from
that for sure. Like people were like, oh, I support Andrew Tate and she's supporting the Andrew Tate victims. So we want to take down Eliza Blue. Like that was real. Like that really existed. I talked to people who thought that.
Well, when I was like posting the thread, like to be honest, like when I posted the thread, I only had like 500 followers. So like in a week, right? Like it went up to being about 1,000 or whatever. And it wasn't until like she had went on to Timcast that like things actually started to really blow up. That's when, because it was pretty much like dead, and then she went on a Timcast, and then the Andrew Tate thing happened, and then that's when that thread really blew up. And I believe it was, Brittany Venti. She wasn't really researching Andrew Tate, the guy that actually like DM'd the thread to her. Somebody DM'd the thread to her. That's how she got onto it in the first place.
Okay.
He came out and was like, yeah, I just DM'd this thread to her because, I figured she was asking about this whole thing. So I sent it. So it's like, it was organic to the point of where it hit Brittany Venti's desk. And then, like, I'm not going to say that she's inorganic, but, she's really the person that made that thing go viral.
Yeah.
It would have probably been dead in the water for forever unless that. And it would have been much just like the same as that, like, Sexy Alice Rose person that was on Twitter talking about this. And I mean, even Open Secret, had said something about it. I was just bringing back up old shit, really. That's all I was doing. And most of it was part of my past investigation into her anyway, and I didn't put everything out there. Like if I really wanted to seem like a creep, I would have done that, but I left it open-ended so that people could kind of make their own decisions and go look up stuff. And then even to this day, there's people that are still sending me shit like I haven't seen it before, which is fine, but like, what makes you think I didn't see that shit? Just because I didn't put it in my thread? Go watch the fucking 5-hour long video. It's in there. Just 5 hours long.
Right. So yeah, that was my, the impression was that it seemed to organically go viral, and then it would have died if she hadn't censored Brittany Venti and other people who posted that picture.
Yeah, they need to free her.
Like, well, she could just delete the tweet, right?
I guess, but she's not going to do that.
Yeah,
Brettler's not going to do that.
That's interesting. That's an interesting strategy. I'm a different kind of Twitter user. Like I don't care that much. So I would just be like, okay, fine, I'll delete it. Like the point is made. I think the point's made, and whatever Eliza Blue did, and I don't know what she did to get those pictures taken down. Apparently it's strong enough that it's not there. Twitter's not changing their mind about it, but Twitter restored did they give you a reason why they restored your accounts?
They just sent me a message. I had sent a couple of reinstatement requests and they kept on denying it, but the last one, they gave it back to me for some reason. So like they deleted the Merlin Defango account or Manuel Defango account. That one's still gone, by the way, but they gave me back the other one. So it's like they suspended one and then they brought the other one back, and I didn't notice for a couple of days.
Okay.
So somebody like tweeted at me and they were like, yo, you should check this out. And I was like, what?
So there we are. So you're saying now that the articles the status we're at now is there's some kind of a truce right now between you guys, or what?
Yeah, I guess it's a truce.
It's a truce, huh? So we're not, with this show, we're not attacking Temple. We don't want to take down Temple. We're just talking about what happened. I was just really curious because you had spoken with them and got the thing taken down. And then that the article happened to be about you. So, so thanks people who are tuned in. If you give us any grift, which is through super chats, or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil to support the show. Defango has pioneered a new type of channel on YouTube where the focus is on the grift. Where did you get that idea? I'm
watching everybody else, actually. I I was who the fuck was I watching? I don't know. I was like watching like 5 or 6 different streams of all these YouTube channels, and they were just getting fat super chats without reading them. And I was like, you know what? And I told my co-host Gene that I was like, yo, dude, this is the idea. We're just gonna get on here, and then we're just gonna like tell people they have to give us donations.
Yeah.
And then we'll sell products, and we'll be like the home shopping network. And I was like, but the whole gag is that, you know, like we're selling stuff, but we're doing it in a way where it's funny because we're being real straight up about it, but at the same time, like, we don't care.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's I appreciate the it's like a LARP kind of, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of like a LARP. Yeah.
It's the first time I've LARPed, played a character.
Yeah. It's like you're LARPing as a grifter on YouTube, and that's what we all are. So we really appreciate your super chats. I will read them, and your donations to buymeacoffee.com, because we are like other YouTubers, grifters, just like Tim is. Tim's a good grifter. I mean, you know, which is fine. It's fine. It's good to be successful. It's good to be successful. I don't want to take Tim down for sure. It's, in this case, I would call him out as being incorrect, but otherwise, he's Tim. He works really hard. He's done a lot. He's made a lot of great content and stuff. He gets guests, and so I got no problem. We have no problem with him. So anyway, let me read I got a super chat from you and a super chat from Wiley Saw in Swiss francs, who says, "Good evening, grifties." Thank you. It must be evening, and
his area of the woods, because he's in Australia, or no, he's Switzerland, because he gives you the Swiss
francs.
Oh, they're francs. I'm sorry.
Swiss francs, shekels, kind of like shekels, though. All right. Is there anything else you think we should cover while I have you on here?
I think the only other thing is that, you're going to be the only other person that I talk to this probably about, Okay. So if any of them other tubers or whatever, they want to get some information, I'm going to send them to you.
Okay.
I don't feel like talking to them.
Okay, great. I get to be your liaison.
Well, you get to be, the main point of contact, since you have actually history with me. So, like I can't say that I trust you, but I do trust you to at least be very middle of the road on everything, and at least not leave anything out. And that's why I appreciate you.
Well, we appreciate, but the thing with Eliza Blue, you had unique information because you knew her for so long, because you've been on the internet for so long, live streaming and stuff. So that's where I saw it. I saw that you knew her from before, and that you had reason to question some parts of her story, and then the whole thing snowballed and everything. So, all right, cool. Well, we'll wrap it up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate it. Make sure to follow Griftcast IRL. I have the links for Defango in the description for his YouTube channel, for his Twitter account, and for his YouTube channel. And we'll see how the story develops. All right.
Thanks a lot, man. Well, you have a good day, folks.
Thanks, Defango. And for now, that is what it is.